Okay, I'm gonna do a video here. It's gonna be way too long to share, but share on Facebook Messenger, I'm sure. But I may have to upload it to YouTube. So what we're trying to accomplish with this brush hog is we're trying to keep this bank that you see that's grown up looking good. Out here by the road, it's really no problem now. As I'm walking close to it, you can see there goes a bunny. Now you know why the dogs go nuts. You can see where we cut down a sapling or a sumac the other day, and that's kind of what got us started. Because if you look down in there, that is where the culvert is. So what we'd like to do, we own all of this, both sides. This is actually kind of nice. I mean, we keep it trimmed back. Our property line is actually way over here. Our property line is right down in here somewhere. But we don't ever do anything with this side because we like to keep it, privacy, like a kind of a privacy barrier. But anyway, I digress. So, in the springtime years ago, Paula used to, her husband and family used to burn all this back so that the creek, which is depending on the time of the year and how much water we've had, is running or not running. This culvert comes from the canal, which is right across the street. Actually goes under the road. And I don't think there's any water in here now. There might be a little bit. There's some wildlife in there. It's pretty cool stuff, actually. Anyway, so every time we make a pass with the Kubota, we try to keep this back. And from time to time, I have to come in here with the hedge trimmers or the sometimes a little electric chainsaw, just cut it back. But as you can see, it's starting to grow out. And that's because it's August, or almost August, and that's what happens. There's times here, there are places that we're trying to plant some trees, like this sapling here. And in order to give it light and not mow it by accident, we've been mowing around it. It's such a pain in the neck. So I said, if I got a finish mower, not a finish mower, a field mower, brush hog is what we used to call it, I could keep this back a lot easier. Same thing here, We'd like this to all be nicer looking. This stays, that stays, this funky pine tree thing stays. We're trying to grow these up, but this has to constantly be cut. And what really sucks is trying to get down and back and down and back with a push mower. And we have a really nice self-propelled push mower, but they don't have reverse. So you're constantly pulling it back, down, back, down, back. So I said, okay, I ain't getting any younger. I'd like to get this cleaned up, especially down here where there's a marker in the woods where the visible fence is. So it's in here somewhere, and I couldn't find it if I had to, because the other marker is there. Right there is the other marker. So if I stand directly in line with it, that means the invisible fence goes across here. And then somewhere in here is where the invisible fence is. Marker, but I don't see it. Anyway, so we've been doing pretty good about keeping this up with the Kubota, just mowing up to it. But like I said, it's a pain to try to get in here with the push mower. And, we keep trimming these back by hand, and then you got no place to put the stuff, so we keep throwing it in the bank, and of course it rots and stuff. But you can't just keep doing that, because sooner or later, this stuff doesn't rot faster than we're cutting it back. So, another reason for the push mower, or the brush hog, or the whatever you want to call this thing. Same thing. Paul is trying to make this pretty down in here, and it's really hard to get in here. This This willow bush is going to stay. It's like the ones on the other side. But makes it very difficult to get down in here. And then you start getting to the real meat and potatoes. This is the area down in here where I would love to be able to mow back to the creek, mow back to the creek, mow back to the creek. Some of this stuff can stay, but all the lower stuff needs to go. And if you try to do it now, forget it. You're just not going to be able to cut it back. And now you get back in here where the fence is for the dogs. And, you know, it's got an angle to it. So you can't get back in here safely with the Kubota because it drops off so quick. And same thing, when you're doing the push mower, you're doing this, so you go down and back and down and back, and it kills you. And it's really starting to get growed up over here. And the only way for me to trim this is to come in here with hedge trimmers and cut it back and then drag it out. And I'll tell you what, it's the same thing over here. This is why this has all got to be weed whacked by hand. All the way down through here is all growing up, and I could barely keep up with it. In fact, I'm looking at this now dreading, knowing that I have, it's got the best of me. It's actually too far. It's come too far. I'm gonna have to trim this with the hedge trimmer and the chainsaw, and then drag all the stuff all the way back over here and throw it over the bank. Of course, again, you throw it over the bank and it's really not going anywhere. It's kind of why I want to do the chipper attachment, because you could just go through and just shred all this stuff. But you see, it's growing up and it's almost to the bank again, to the fence. And it's going to be, 85 degrees, 90 degrees, high humidity, and I'm an old guy. I don't have to tell you that the ingredients for disaster, what possibly could go wrong. Right now, these are out here, and these have the burrs on them, so these are really sharp. You just can't do this. You've got this stuff here is too big to cut. We cut it back with the chainsaw already. Down in here, this whole thing used to be, see where the railroad sign is? This is where the railroad used to come across years ago. But this whole thing was this wide right here. And you can see how I'm losing ground. Got to cut this back. The quick answer is burn it off. And I'm going to reach out to the town of Corona and Durhamville Fire Department and see what we got to do that. But, sometimes it's easier said than done. Back in the day, you could, do this kind of stuff and get away with it. But now you can't because, somebody's complaining because you're burning. See how it's gotten away from me over here? It's actually starting to grow over the fence. I can't get in here. If I could get in here with the Kubota, I could just mow this all the time, but I got to cut it back, and then I've got to worry about the angle. It's just a lot of work. You just got to decide which is the better fix, which is the worst of two evils. It's so nice back in here. We spray for mosquitoes, so actually right now, if we didn't spray for the mosquitoes, I couldn't stand here. I would be carried away by the mosquitoes. But it's actually pretty good right now. I don't have any mosquitoes bothering me. It's actually a nice day. And then you come around the corner. I've been trying my best to keep up with this with the push mower. But again, sumacs are taking over. You can tell where I've cut back this way with the push mower, in and out. But now the sumacs are taking over. There's just no way that, unless I do it every other couple of days in the growing season, how I'm going to be able to do this by hand. So where I tried to push it back with the push mower, and push mowers are not designed. They're just not designed to do that. You're going to destroy the thing sooner or later. Anyway, now you got a good idea. There's your sumac. These things are 20 feet tall, and now you've got an idea what I'm up against, what I'm trying to accomplish. Same thing out through here. If I didn't keep this up, it would take over the whole yard. Right now, Paula and I have been just throwing the brush over this edge forever and ever and ever. And sooner or later, it's going to catch up. I can kind of picture this whole thing being cut back, because this is where the creek makes a turn and then goes back and feeds our neighbors. This could actually be all cut back, and it would look nice because there is a creek in there. You just can't see it. It's there. Just can't see it. Our property line technically goes to here, but we've been keeping it trim all back in here because this is where we've been throwing the brush for years and years and years. You can see it back there. You know, every time a storm comes through, we cut the branches up and throw them back here. But I have a bad feeling it's going to end up in a disaster at some point. Okay, I'm glad you had a chance to watch this video. I apologize about it being so long, but I kind of wanted you to go for a walk with me, take a look at this, and see what you would do to keep all this cut back. Do I keep doing it like I am and cutting it back with a hedge trimmer and then throwing it over the bank? Or do I invest in this this brush hog type of walk behind mower and trim it all back? You know, if you watch that video clip I sent you, you can see it's pretty easy to do. But you know, I also don't want to spend $7,000 on something and find out I bought the wrong thing. I don't mind having the right tool for the job, but I do mind wasting money. Thanks. Appreciate your input. I really, 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 really do. Have a good one.